This is the second week in a row that we have heard Jesus making challenging questions, almost even harsh statements, not questions, but statements. Last week it was, "It is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to dogs." And this week he says, "He that is not with me is against me." Now remember that Jesus spoke to four audiences. The person that he was speaking to or interacting with was usually an audience consisting of Jewish religious leaders sometimes, otherwise just other people in the audience or surrounding him, followers. To his disciples, because he was a mentor and model to them, modeling leadership in the intent to establish a church and leave behind a lasting imprint on this world. And finally, there is us and all those who have come before us. So if you think about it, there are those four audiences that when he speaks, each one is receiving his message and interpreting it in their own way based upon their personal circumstances, their social, political situation, and so forth. To our eyes, those earlier statements I read might seem a little unkind and even polarizing, but to others, not so. And I'd like to explain that. One way to help us better grasp his intent and meaning of his words is remember the fundamental belief that he grew up on, the Shema. Now, the Shema is a central Jewish prayer and declaration of faith that affirms the oneness of God, and it's recited daily, morning and evening, and often other times in between too. I'd like to read to you the beginning. "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Blessed be the name of the glory of his kingdom forever and ever. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you today shall be upon your heart. You shall teach them thoroughly to your children, and you shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk on the road, when you lie down, and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign upon your hand, and they shall be for a reminder between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the doorposts of your heart, and upon your house, and upon your gates." Now, as you can see, Jesus entered the world not in a time of indifference and lukewarm interest in God like we are living in. It was just the opposite. The God of Israel was alive and woven into Jewish life at every level. If you read the early books on the Torah, there's almost this intimacy between the Jewish people and God. You had a problem, you went out into the field and you talked to them. If anybody saw a fiddler on the roof, you had good examples of that. "Lord, what did I do? Why did I do this? Why did you do this to me? What's happening?" A very strong, intimate relationship there. God of Israel was alive and woven into Jewish life at every level, just as I was explaining here. He entered into a world where there was no private life. Your beliefs about God were not to be hidden. They were displayed in how you dressed, how you spoke, who you spoke with, what you ate, what you looked at. It was in every level of Jewish life, and they understood where you were with your God. There was constant external social friction with the Gentile world. We all know that. Romans imposing their will on that part of the country or the world. The tension between Jewish leaders with differing opinions on how God was to be worshipped was also very intense. The Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Essenes, There were conflicting groups. One commentator says the central social structure of the society at the time of Jesus' life there was organized with purity as the core value. Purity systems generate a class of untouchables and outcasts. And we know that that's where his attention was. He focused his attentions on the peasants, the untouchables, and the outcasts. But that made him a target of the urban elite. He was also a target because his message that he was the Son of God struck many as anathema to what was in the Shema. Hear, O Israel, lo, the Lord is our God. The Lord is one. Here is how one modern rabbi summarized it. We love all that Jesus said until he inserted himself. To Jewish leaders of his time, Jesus appeared to be inserting himself between them and God, and therefore threatening to divide their nation. So when Jesus states, "He that is not with me is against me," is not a threat, but simply the consequences of his message to his own people. Think of it. Jesus is stating a fact, that this is the consequence to how you answer this question, the same question he asked Peter. Who do you say I am? Your answer determines whether you choose a life with the Son of the living God, which was Peter's answer, or whether you choose to deprive yourself of that life. Jesus was called to change the Shema, not to change the Shema, but actually reinforce it to the people of Israel, and consequently establish a church that will spread its meaning throughout the world. Because Jesus of Nazareth did this, we all know he impacted the world more profoundly than any other person. Therefore, no one could avoid answering that simple question. Who do you say that I am? Whether you are Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, agnostic, atheist, doesn't matter. All must make a decision how to answer it, and then live with the consequences. In the name of the Father, and of the Son,